for West Ham United in their fight to stay in the league. But a couple of hours earlier, maybe even an hour earlier than that, David Raya was making a crucial save for Arsenal, Jamie.
I mean, it's fantastic. Listen, we think Arsenal are going to go on and win the league. He's been one of the biggest reasons why, not just this season, but the actual signing and changing him for Ramsdale. But that save at 0-0, that's the vital part. I mean, to get that leg out there, absolutely brilliant goalkeeping. And that kept it 0-0 until we know what happened.
Well, we know what happened with the substitution, but also a goalkeeping error at the other end, Thierry.
Again, goalkeeper of England, the goalkeeper of Italy, massive mistake. That's an error. Once again, you can see Dowman on the ball, getting a throw-in, staying in his position, knowing that he's alone, asking for the ball, as you can see here, going back on his left foot, allowed to cross, and then Pickford, that's just a mistake. Nkapia didn't know too much about it, but Gyökeres, we're going to go back first to the cross. Yes, good flight, good cross, but I still expected at that moment Pickford to do better on the cross. Then Nkapia doesn't know too much what's happening. Gyökeres, you can talk about the defenders also of Everton here. Gyökeres is thinking that the ball is going to come to him. They're stopped in the middle, and he goes on to celebrate and make it 1-0.
Everton are pushing for equaliser into stoppage time in the game, and then a moment, an iconic moment, Thierry, which has just thrilled Arsenal fans. It thrilled the manager as well. Did it excite you at the time as well?
I had goosebumps. I'll be honest with you. I don't often get goosebumps watching a game, but I had goosebumps because I remember my first goal. I remember my first moment. I remember, that level of expectation. I could relate. But what I like here, the way, it's kind of this one is pretty obvious, and obviously Dewsbury Hall is going to think that he's going to shoot at a particular moment. Not shoot, but try to hit it. But the way he goes on his right foot, to go and pass him at that particular moment, as you're going to see here. But nevertheless, I'm talking about, you're going to see it here when the ball goes there, he pushes it with his right foot, and again with his right foot. That's very unlike a left-footed player, regardless of what it is. Even if you're not an Arsenal fan, at that particular moment, I think that everyone could relate, and we're happy for him, and maybe put the Arsenal thing on the side. He gave me goosebumps, I'll be honest.
The youngest ever Premier League scorer at 16 years and 73 days. He might have been back at school today, 16 years and 75 days. The youngest in English top division history, though, remains Jason Dezelle, was 16 days younger when he did the feat in February 1984. How excited should we be about Max Dowman moving forward, Thierry?
Very, very. I was there when they did it. And if someone told me he was going to have the career that he had, I would have said maybe. But what you need to do is to make sure that we can also protect him along the way, because we have a special talent here, not only for Arsenal, but for English football. But let's not get overexcited with that. Am I happy that he's at Arsenal? Hell yeah, I'm happy that he's at Arsenal. But we also need to protect him and not go too far too early with what he can achieve.
Do you think it's a significant moment, that shift?
Yeah, I think you're talking about Rooney. I think the great players who start as youngsters and go on to have great careers, they always have moments that you remember as a youngster. You have to make that impact. He's done that. It almost feels inevitably to go on to have a really good career. But as Thierry's right there, how special, we do not know yet. There's still a lot of pitfalls and obstacles he's got to overcome. He's only a young man, but what a start he's made.
He certainly has, and of course, he caught the eye of every Arsenal fan, every fan watching around the country as well. And despite the fact he came on the 74th minute, he was the highest-rated player in the Finalysis Team of the Week with 93. Mavropanos with a starring role for West Ham United in that back four. Some of that might be that ball he took in the face, which was extraordinary. Bruno Fernandes rating really highly as well for Manchester United. And Eddie Howe, the manager of the week, masterminding Newcastle's 1-0 victory at Stamford Bridge. Also on Saturday evening. So might Max Dowman now feature in the Carabao Cup final? Might he throw him in from the start? Who knows? We will find out. 3:30 on Sunday. We're looking forward to that. And at 10:30 tonight, Thierry and Jamie are going to have a closer look at Arsenal's style this season. 9 points clear. A lot of people think it's done now. This evening, great to have you along with us for this Monday Night Football. We are surrounded by greatness as well. One of the greatest... What are you laughing at? One of the greatest Premier League defenders in Liverpool's Premier League era, and one of the greatest strikers the Premier League has ever seen as well. And the greatest Brentford side that we have probably ever seen also, Thierry. How impressed have you been with the way they have continued to build, continued to climb, and here they are, despite changing managers and selling players, on the verge of Europe?
It is outstanding to see what they have achieved. As you just mentioned, being able to find players that people don't know about and how they sell them, and changing the manager, the way they go about stuff. It doesn't matter who comes in that club, because they have that identity, that philosophy. It seems to be okay. And Keith Andrews has done a tremendous job, apart lately from, we're not talking about the FA Cup obviously, but the game at home against Brighton. They are doing extremely well. But it's another of a team, a style of play, of what they're going to have to deal with Wolverhampton tonight. But I've been really impressed with them.
And there they are, right in the mix for Europe. Jamie, as I was saying right at the top there, we think it could well go down to 8th place. And Brentford, if that is the mini-table, are leading the race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, they've been fantastic. You've just mentioned maybe the best Brentford that we've seen, and that was always going to be difficult to come on the back of the great job that Thomas Frank did. But it just shows how well that club is ran from top to bottom. And in Keith Andrews, we were talking about a manager we felt may not be actually still in the job by this stage of the season. Maybe Brentford might struggle this season as well. And actually a comment he made a few weeks ago really sort of caught my eye, where he mentioned on the back of, I think, a defeat at home to Brighton, he mentioned that he wasn't going to be too tough on the players, because for the last couple of months or so, they've actually been the best player in the best team in the Premier League, and they backed that up with points and results.
I'm sure it hasn't escaped the attention of Brentford's owners and coaches and fans that there is also a scenario where 7th could lead to Champions League football. So basically, if Chelsea or Liverpool were to finish in 5th place and win the Champions League, which is possible, and Aston Villa were to finish in 6th place and win the Europa League, which is possible. Then the team who finished 7th would be qualifying for the Champions League. I mean, that would be extraordinary, Jamie, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing. I thought we'd maybe got our maximum when you think of this season in terms of 6 teams, but that would be absolutely amazing for the Premier League. But not just the Premier League. Imagine Brentford in the Champions League. I mean, they've been on some journey. As I said, the club has run fantastically well, but that would be the icing on the cake. And I would definitely take that. I would take that.
I'm sure you would. Well, let's talk about the top 2 for a minute, because Manchester City dropping points again in what felt like a really crucial game at West Ham on Saturday night, particularly after Arsenal's victory. Bernardo Silva it was who got them up and running, Thierry, and we weren't sure this was a touch of genius or a touch of fortune.
I think it's fortune, because you can see his reaction. I don't think he meant that. But what he did is trying to, obviously, as we know, ding the ball in the second post for someone. You can see his reaction. He has kind of I'm celebrating, but you can see he's like, oh, he never meant that. It doesn't matter. It looks good.
It certainly does.
He's like, no.
But there we were, Jamie, just a couple of weeks ago, talking about the potential role that these 2 goalkeepers, Donnarumma and David Raya, could have in the title race, and whether they could swing it one way or the other. Did that happen on Saturday?
And I think most of us favoured Donnarumma, didn't we?
You certainly did.
Yes, with his experience being there before as well, but there's no doubt that Donnarumma blinked first, shall we say. Listen, he made an error. We talk about corners now, they are difficult for goalkeepers. That wasn't really the case. He wasn't sort of knocked out the way too much or blocked. That's just really poor from a goalkeeper. He just gets it wrong. Huge goalkeeper, and just misjudges the flight of the ball. And that was the goal to get West Ham back to 1-1, and Manchester City couldn't go and get that winning goal.
And Mavropanos, the former Arsenal man, wheeling away in delight. A crucial point, of course.
What were you doing at 16, Dave Reed?
Grafting. Just grafting.
So was that.
What's changed?
Nothing.
Well, it has changed because it's brought you here, mate. So it did work, didn't it?
It absolutely
and
worked.
you as well, mate.
I was still doing my paper round at 16. Clinton, that was an interesting question Mikel Arteta was asked there about the balance between the old adage of if you're good enough, you're old enough, and protecting him a little bit. And how careful he has to be with someone who has just turned 16.
No, you need to protect him. I think Liverpool do it with the youngster Riyad Ngomora as well. You have to protect these, little diamonds that they've got because they're a fantastic player. Listen, the impact that he had on the weekend was sensational. But they have no fear. I think the experienced players with the Arsenal, maybe you're fearing a bit. Not this young man. He's got ability beyond belief. And when I saw Martinelli trying to run up with him, I was like, don't you dare take the ball off this young man. But he didn't. He slowed it down. And I thought he was fantastic. Arsenal struggled on the weekend and he came on with no fear. But I've spoke to a lot of people about him and they said he's always been a talent through the academy. He always stood out, and it was one name they said, have a look out for. He'll make a big impact, and he's made a big impact. But you have to have good people around you now because the headlines are going to be crazy. Look at that. Every day, every minute of today, always speaking about, everyone's going to talk about is Max Dowman. He's got to have good people. It seems like he's got good people around him because he's thrown into the spotlight now. Can he handle it? I think the young man can handle it, but I think he's got the right people at that football club that will handle him ever so well. Mikel Arteta, experienced players like the Rice, Gabriel, Saliba, the likes of Timber, the list goes on and on. He's got a lot of people there that will help the young man. And I don't think he'll get too high, but enjoy that moment because that's a special moment. And yeah, you surely hit the ground running, but sensational young talent. He's got the world at his feet. But don't hype him up too much, everyone, because that's what we do in this country. Hype him up. And when he has a few quiet ones, everyone wants to criticise him and says, can he get back to that level? He's an outstanding young player. And as I said, he'll have good people around him and he's going to be a star.
And the point, Dave, that Clinton made there about the club protecting him, I think they didn't put him up for a post-match interview, which I think something that I know for certain that Liverpool have also been quite careful with Ngomora, that you don't want to throw them into a moment which might be a little bit too big for them, because we actually forget that playing football is what he's most comfortable at, probably not doing the interviews or anything like that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that a lot of the media that were in attendance at the weekend at the Emirates would have asked to speak to him. So the question would have been asked, and it would be down to Arsenal then to say we're going to hold him back. And it's not just those players that you mentioned there as well. Jude Bellingham has been held back when he was coming through at Birmingham City and with England as well from doing post-match interviews and sit-down interviews with media. It almost seems a little bit needless at this point in his career because every word would be analysed, every word would be blown up, and the fact is that he's talking on the pitch right now, and I think that's enough for Arsenal. They have got players in the squad that have experience of what he's going through right now. None more so than Martin Odegaard, who came through at such a young age, got a massive move at such a young age as well, and he knows what the spotlight can be like for a player, and Odegaard had his dips as well in terms of not getting any game time at that age when much was expected of him. So he's got players there that he can learn from as well.
You just said, Clinton, let's not hype him up too much, which is probably leads me into asking a question that I maybe shouldn't be asking.
No, you asked, of course we've got to talk big about him. He's a big
Michael
player.
Owen's first full season, he went to the World Cup at the end of it. Wayne Rooney's second full season, he went to the World Cup at the end of it, having started 26 games. Owen started 34. Theo Walcott went to a World Cup having started 13 matches in the Championship that season.
I know what your question is.
Is that too much? And are England well enough stocked that is probably too much to hope for from him?
Yeah, it's well enough stocked. There's a lot of... He's a special young player, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of special players in his position where he wants to play that will probably miss out on the World Cup as well, that will be at home. His time will come. I remember when they took Theo Walcott and he didn't play any time, but that was an experience for him. His time will come. He's still a young man and he's got loads of time. He'll be an international sooner rather than later, but for him to go and make a mark on the World Cup, I think it's too much too soon at the moment. He hasn't played that much Premier League football, so why are you going to thrust him into a World Cup? It's a different scenario. It's totally different at the moment. His time will come, but for him to be going into the World Cup, not at this moment. He's got many years of playing for England, and he will play because the boy's a super, super talent. I know I said don't big him up too much. The reason I don't want people to big him up too much, he deserves to be bigged up because he's a special talent, but I don't want it to then he has a few quiet games that everyone wants to knock him down again. He's a young, he's still at school. He's doing his GCSEs. It's ridiculous. A player of that ability, but you can see, and Mikel Arteta must see, because it was 0-0 on the weekend. He left a few big players on the bench, and he said he kind of felt it. You feel it with this guy in training. He must be putting good defenders and sitting them down, because that's what Arteta said. He's doing it against some of the best defenders at Arsenal. He's a super talented boy, but yeah, he'll keep his feet on the ground. He's got good people around him, but I think too soon for the World Cup. Let him go and enjoy his football. Have a summer off. go away with his friends and just chill out unless he's playing.
Being Kavos or Iron Apple or something as a 16-year-old.
Too young for that.
I think you had some bits on the actual run that brought the goal.
Yeah, I mean, Clinton talks about the talent there. That's why everyone's so excited, because he's so direct. He's able to carry the ball. He's able to take players on. The composure that he showed on that run as well, the composure and the strength to run through contact. And over the last 10 years, actually, that goal makes it into the top 10 of the longest carries to a goal. And if he'd have dribbled the ball over the line, he might have gone higher up this list, but he didn't. He managed to put it over the line from around about 17, 18 yards. So 61.3 metres was the carry that ended in a goal. Andros Townsend has the longest carry against West Bromwich Albion. That's 78.9 metres for the longest carry that ended in a goal. But hopefully, from his point of view, hopefully from an Arsenal point of view, they'll be hoping that they see lots more of that type of direct running, that type of ability to take players on and have an end product as well, not only with the goal but with the cross as well that led to the first.
It was a significant moment, a really nice moment to live together. But that's on the past, and now the full focus is on tomorrow.
We've seen Max show his talent since the beginning of the season, but the manner how he scored and how he impacted the game was pretty special. And so how proud were you of him, and what's he been like since?
Well, very much, obviously. To do what he did in such a moment, very rare to see, or impossible almost. He's done it, and now it's football. And now what you've done a few days ago is not relevant anymore. It's about the next one.
And on the game tomorrow, could you just ask some fitness questions, please? So there's no Jurian Timber and Martin Odegaard in training. Are they out for tomorrow?
Yes, both of them are, yeah.
Leandro Trossard was back. Is he available?
He's okay. He felt good, so he's available.
And any other fitness issues?
No any other news.
And with Leverkusen last week, it was a tight game against them in Germany, a well-organised side. So what are you expecting tomorrow?
Well, very much the same. And watching them play against Bayern Munich at the weekend, very similar. So again, really well coached, a team with a very clear structure, really good individuals. If not, obviously we are not in a stage in the competition that we are in right now. So we know what we have to do, and in front of our crowd, with our people, putting all the energy in the world again. Hopefully we're going to do it.
Good afternoon, Mikel. I know you say you're moving on, but just reflecting on Saturday, in the 6 and a bit years that you've been here, can you recall anything like that feeling that you've had there?
Every feeling is different. We had so many beautiful moments throughout this period. The reason one, obviously, is the one that you have at more recent. That's what is very, very special. But as I said, let's have another wonderful one tomorrow.
I know there'll be a will probably just to keep everything calm around Max. So with that in mind, is there any thing that you've put in place, like maybe any players that you might have like assigned to him, maybe mentor him?
Well, I think we have the leadership group, obviously, and certain individuals that are very close with him. The most important one is his family as well, and he's in a very good place there as well. And him, because he's used to a lot of things. He takes it very normally, and he knows that this sport is about today.
Just one player I want to ask you about in relation to that. Your captain is Martin Odegaard, but he's also been a player who came through at a very, very young age as well. How important could he be to Max?
Yeah, all the experiences that the players have and they can share and explain. It's very useful, because probably he's going through things that some of us in the past we've been at his age, not many, but Martin is a really good example. Thank you.
Hi, Mikel. I know you don't tend to talk about players that aren't yours, but I want to ask you about a player that used to be yours, which is Dinos Mavropanos, who had an excellent game for West Ham and did Arsenal quite a huge favour. Could you just speak a little bit about what it was like to work with him and how thankful maybe you are for his efforts as well?
Yeah, very, very good character. A player that he was signed just before I arrived as well, and he had a long-term injury as well, and he didn't get that many minutes, but good to see him doing really well, and that's it. And all the players that they've been with us, wish them all the best.
And in all the jubilation of the game against Everton, we didn't really get to offer the opportunity to ask about the penalty that you didn't get in that game. And there's been a lot of talk and noise around it afterwards. Kai Havertz appeared to get clipped in it, and it was reviewed very quickly. What were your thoughts on that decision?
Yeah, watching it back when we watched it live, very disappointed that we didn't get a penalty, because it was very clear.
James Athletic?
Hi, Mikel.
Just on Martin, obviously he's missed the last few games. It must be difficult for him at the moment because there's so many big games. And you've got a cup final potentially, well, definitely on Sunday against Wembley, in which he, ostensibly would be leading the team out. Is he in contention for that?
Yeah. So we're really pushing. He really wants to try to be unavailable, but we'll have to wait and see in the next few days when he trains with the team how he feels. We know the game that we're going to be playing a few days again, and the more players that we have, the better.
Matt. Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
On Saturday, you sort of seemed as passionate and as animated on the touchline as you have in a long time, sort of taking your jacket off, kicking every ball. You've spoken about the need for everyone to enjoy these moments. Are you genuinely able to enjoy it?
I love those moments, and when the team needs help and the crowd is pushing there, I think in any way that we can contribute, help, support the players, give them confidence and energy, we have to be there. And I think it makes a difference, and we notice immediately the moment the crowd got more relaxed, more positive, the atmosphere changes and the players start to make better decisions, and we manage to win the game.
And you've had, this is I guess the fourth season now of you being on the touchline during a big title race. How are your emotions compared to previous seasons? Is it sort of more intense now, or how's it compared?
Probably the will to win increases year by year when you've been so close as well. But stay focused, live the present, enjoy it as well, because we have to feel privileged where we are, and then obviously have that will, that bite to make it happen.
The reason we haven't been speaking about it too much is because the manner of the win at the weekend, some big moments, big goals. Max, of course, did it feel huge for you as well, being on the pitch?
Yeah, I think atmosphere as well was unbelievable, and as I said before, it was a crucial match, and so happy for the team that we won, and we keep going on this.
Hi there, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Can you just give us an insight a little bit into Max, what kind of person he is, and like when we're watching him, we're pretty amazed. What is it like for the players when they watch him?
Yeah, obviously the first time that you see him on the pitch, you're like quite curious about him, because you think he's so young, but at the same time he's so mature, on the pitch, and still he can improve many things, but is a talent. I mean, you can see, but at the same time I think we have to leave him like quiet and don't speak about him too much, because he has everything.
So with that in mind, I mean, all the players clearly love him.
Yeah.
Do they give him advice? Do you speak to him? What have you said to him?
For sure, we try to give some advices, but I think for the moment he's doing well, even without our advices.
Thank you.
Hi Ricardo, there's obviously a lot on the line this season, and there's been a lot of high intensity games.
Yeah.
What's it been like to play in those moments of really high pressure when there's so much on the line?
I think it's especially now, like from March on to the next few months, it's the best part of the season as well. No, you started so early, like in with the preseason, and then you work so hard to get to this point, to be in all the competition, and to be like so close to win. And I think it's the dream, no, to be here.
And you've worked with someone new this season, Gabriel Heinze, as a defensive coach. I noticed that before the games he kind of grabs the defenders in a bit of a huddle.
Mm-hmm.
How has that changed you? How has he changed you? And has those moments really helped you this season?
The huddle, just him.
Him and the huddles, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like him as a person, and I think I can learn so much from him, especially because he was a top player and he played for top teams. So he gave to me and to all the defenders so many advices, and we always listen to him. And also, as I said, I like him as a person as well.
James. So let's look back at the rest of the weekend, and a great weekend for Arsenal.
I mean, to be fair, you
Wing
think
weekend,
of magical
it has been
Premier League moments. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I felt a little bit emotional watching that last night, just for the young kid. It was really, really special, that. Special in a number of ways. One, the celebration, just the players on the pitch, the way in which, that's how football should be. The exceptional technique of the goal, which, to be fair, I've not heard too many people talk about, but maybe it has been talked about and I've not been watching. But the head, then the little touch with the left foot, but then the right foot, the two touches with his right foot, his opposite foot, then the next touch with his left foot and his left foot. He's touched all parts of his body to score that goal, whilst gliding forward and moving with the ball. I thought it was an absolute beautiful goal. You need to be exceptional to be able to do that. He made it look so easy that it looked like anybody could do it. But honestly, there are very few who could do that. And to do it at 16 and become the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer, and at a point where Arsenal needed it most, it felt like a defining moment in Arsenal's modern history. One, because they've produced a player that's done something exceptional on an individual level that's never been done before at that age. But secondly, that they've not won a title for 22 years. And that just will be, that will be the picture, that will be the sort of the showcase moment, the video that gets played back when we sort of go at the end of the season into the Monday Night Football studio and we'll look back at the big moments of the season. It will be that moment and that celebration that I'm sure will be shown. Long way to go yet, not done, but it just felt like a pivotal moment and it was really special. I have to say, we can sometimes sit here and say that football, it maybe doesn't produce as exceptional a moments as it did, and you think of the Aguero goal 14 years ago now, or you think of the Van Persie volley here when Manchester United won the league in Sir Alex Ferguson, you think of Steve Bruce's headers. You think of the big, massive moments of teams winning Premier League titles and where those defining moments are. And that just felt to me like it was a difficult game for Arsenal. It was a real struggle all the way through. And they didn't play badly in the game, Arsenal, but Everton did really well and they've been good away from home. But just felt it was a magical moment for Max Dowman, a magical moment for Arsenal. And I absolutely, it stopped me in my tracks. To be fair, I was sat in my kitchen table watching in the chair that I always watch matches. And it was enough for me to actually call my wife over to say, just come and watch this, because I actually thought it was that big a moment. You know, she was actually in the next room and I just shouted, I said, come and watch this. And this young kid's just scored a goal. He's 16, the same age as our daughter. I'm like, that can't happen. She's doing her GCSEs in 2 months and this kid's doing his GCSEs in 2 months and he's doing that in the Premier League, and it was really, really a beautiful moment.
But how carefully do you have to manage him after that? Because, you know, we've seen people like Charlie Patino come there as the next big thing and then has sort of disappeared. We've had Waneri come through as a young player and he's now gone out on loan. Miles Lewis-Skelly, who came into the scene, hasn't been as involved this year. So how much of a difficult balancing act is it with Max Dowman from now on?
Look, I've seen this a lot in my life, thankfully, luckily, you know, the emergence of Ryan Giggs as a 16-year-old, David Beckham's goal at Wimbledon, which, to be fair, lit up the whole country and like put him into the spotlight. The Wayne Rooney introduction for England, and obviously he was at Everton at the time. He scored that volley against Arsenal, but then got pretty quickly with Wayne Rooney with England and obviously with United. Michael Owen's goal with England against Argentina, I was on the pitch. I've seen this before where Dele Alli, I think. I've seen it with Federico Makeda, you know, here, that goal against Aston Villa. And I've seen it where it works and I've seen it where it doesn't work, where it doesn't quite follow up into something sort of what would be really spectacular that you think is going to happen. Ravel Morrison, I think, is someone as well that had exceptional talent. Maybe didn't have a moment like that, but was talked about in the same way. Look, this kid does look different. He looks like he's got a composure and a temperament that's right. It doesn't look like he's going to get carried away by things. But when you're 16, and I always remember going into the dressing room, first team dressing room for the first time at 18 at Manchester United, when you first start going in and changing with them, and looking at Steve Bruce and Brian Robson and Eric Cantona and thinking, they've been doing this for 16, 17, 18 years. And Max Dowman's in that dressing room and he's done it for a few months. And he should really keep his feet on the ground, and I'm sure he will. And I'm sure everybody will be working hard with him, his parents, his family, everybody at Arsenal, because he's got 20 years before he's made it. I always used to say, you've only made it in football when you get to the end. That's it. You know, if you're really going to be one of the very top players and you're going to get to the top, be a top player in professional football at a club like this or at Arsenal or at Liverpool, you've never really accepted that you've made it. You can never feel that you've made it and you've climbed the mountain until that moment when you retire. So he's got 20 years in front of him to get to that point. So right now, it's about basically just doing the same things that he's been doing that's got him into that position that he's currently in. Having sensible people around him, good accountant, good lawyer, good advice from his parents, making sure that you restrict access to certain things that you know could distract him. I'm not going to name what those things are, but, you know, be a 16-year-old kid that has access to things that 16-year-old kids would ordinarily have access to. Work hard every single day and match the work ethic of Bukayo Saka, of Martin Ødegaard, of Declan Rice. He's got good examples in that dressing room. Forget Saliba and Gabriel and maybe some of the more experienced. I know Saliba's not, but Gabriel's more experienced. Zubimendi. You know, players, just look at... I used to look at the others around me in my dressing room and you had nowhere to go. Because if you've been playing for 10 years and they've got a lot of money in the bank and they've got a fancy car and they've got a big house and they played for the country 50, 60, 70 times and they've won medals for their country and they've won World Cups or European Championships and things like that, look at them, because they're the lads that really, to be fair, are doing it still every single day. There's no let-up with this. You know, there's no easy shortcut or route to the end for Max Dowman, but it's a beautiful moment for him. He obviously didn't do any interviews after the game last night, which I think is completely and utterly acceptable. I think that, to be fair, it was right that I think Gyökeres did the interview I saw at the end of the match and actually wondered whether Max Dowman would do the interview, and I waited on to see whether he would, and he didn't do it. I think that's absolutely right, to keep him away from it. Try and keep him off social media. I've spoken to a lot of players in the last few months about how they need to manage modern media. So you're talking about sort of keeping him away from sort of what would be the headlines and sort of the interviews. That's easy for the Arsenal communications department. Keep him away from social media, because it sounds crazy, but even when it's like that, which it will have been last night, you know, Max Dowman was a god on social media last night, but he'll be the devil. At some point, he'll miss a penalty. He'll get injured. He'll maybe get sent off and then react at a certain point in his career. And then you'll be on the other side of it. So you want to try as a football player to try and get rid of the roller coaster. And it is a roller coaster as a football player. You're young, you're full of adrenaline, you're full of fire, you're full of wanting to play, you've got massive ego, you've got massive confidence, you believe you're the best. But you still need to keep as much as possible on that level ground and try and keep away from the roller coaster. That's people around him, but that's also, I think, things that maybe he can do to help himself and deal with things in a way which means that he can just go home and have his cheat meal on a Saturday night, like his pizza, with calm. Because I'm sure when he walks down the street in the next few weeks, he's going to get a lot of love. But yeah, he's got some good people around him at that club. I think, Declan Rice, I think Bukayo Saka, Zubimendi, there's lots of them. Ødegaard, I never look at any of those players and think they're arrogant, they get carried away, they're big-headed. I think they're just really good lads who I see working hard every single week. All of them, really. I don't see any sort of players in the Arsenal squad that I look at and think, oh, they don't work hard, or they do my head in. They're all, really good professionals. At times you might not think that they're playing the best or whatever, but they're brilliant professionals and they're a good group.
Talking about professionals, Manchester City, bad week for them. How important now is the Carabao Cup final with the Champions League hopes hanging by a thread and the really drop points against Forest and West Ham?
Yeah, and it was a mauling in Madrid. That'll have hurt them. We had moments like that where you're the kings of England. I mean, I know they're not at the moment, Liverpool are, but Pep Guardiola will feel like he's the king of England in the sense of how many titles he's won. And to go there in such a showpiece game and have a mauling like that against you will have hurt them badly. So it didn't surprise me fully last night. And I watched the game against West Ham and, look, City are going to dominate possession. They're going to be probably the better team, and they are the better team. But it was a big night. What Max Dowman did, what Arsenal did, and then what happened after that with City. You're right, they're dropping points, they're making mistakes that you wouldn't ordinarily associate with them, and they've been doing that for quite a while now this season. And I've not thought they're going to get over the line for quite a while because they're just not quite there. There's something missing this season. I don't know what it is. Doesn't mean to say that they can't do it in this last 8 games because they're capable of ridiculous things, Pep Guardiola teams. They will respond, they will fight back, they're not going to give in. They don't do that. And like the Arsenal players that I've just talked about, these aren't, professionals that sort of, drop below sort of what will be their work ethic. They do fight every single week, but sometimes that game in midweek, they set up to go and take Madrid on, I think, pound for pound, or punch for punch, didn't they? And they got wounded. And I think that will have shocked them. That really will have shocked them. It'll take them a bit to get over. But they've got a week now, haven't they? Oh, they've got the game in midweek against Real Madrid. But they've got a final next week. So they've got 2 massive matches, and you haven't got time at a big club when you're playing in these types of matches to get 2 down. And they've got an opportunity to turn it around. They could end up this week doing very well against Real Madrid. I don't think they'll go through, but they could end up having a fantastic game, and they could end up with a medal round this time next week. So that would be an exceptional week for them off the back of a bad one. But the league title does feel to me like it's just slipping away.
What a swing weekend it has been then, from 7 to 9. Remember, City do have that game in hand, and they've got to play Arsenal at the Etihad. Look at their fixtures in a moment. But what a turnaround that was for Arsenal at the Emirates, Tim. And 16 years and 73 days old Max Dowman, history maker, Arsenal and the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer. I mean, what a moment at that tender age it was for him.
Fantastic, and a brilliant decision from, as it turned out, from Mikel Arteta. He said he had a gut feel for the kid to bring him onto the pitch, but just watch where he takes that touch here. Then he drifts it inside. Just keep your eye on Gabriel Martinelli there. He just cuts across, look, blocks off, so just in case someone got back to him. And he's totally aware of where his surroundings were, the kid anyway. He's a special player, he really, really is. And I think if they manage him correctly, he could be one of the greatest players England have ever produced. And I'm not just saying it on a whim of seeing him once. This kid is special. I guarantee you, I've watched him play through the youth Yanks. He has played under-18 football for 2 years already, Steve. 2 years, under-21 football last year. You know, he's 16 years of age. Amazing talent. He's amazing talent. And I think these are the right club because they will develop him correctly. And he's got good senior professionals he can learn off as well. I think that's key. It's not only with the management and the coaching staff. Every day you're within the changing rooms, you're match days, you're looking, you're learning, you're picking the brains of the Declan Rices and the Gabriels of this world, the Martin Odegaard, fantastic professionals. I think this kid, if he's got his head screwed on, which I believe he has, he'd go all the way.
Well, it's a big statement from Tim. He's making you at 17-year-old Golden Boot winner look an old stager when you look at that list. We've extended it to 7, by the way. We normally put the top 6 on, but we've got Michael on there. But in all seriousness, I mean, well, maybe you didn't. I mean, we've had this conversation many times. Hear people say things like that when you burst onto the scene. Do you have people blocking that out? Do you yourself, as a boy at 16 and 73 days old, take any notice? Could you just get a taste and keep going?
You can't be, taken away from everything. Of course, you switch television on or you
probably worse for him now in this era as well.
I know, but it's not. Yeah, well, absolutely, Steve. You read social media and things. It's not a bad thing to hear people like Tim Sherwood saying this guy could be one of the best England players of all time and it is a big if, but in terms of ability alone, it actually resonates with you thinking, wow, people like that saying that about me, right, what do I have to do to make all of that come true? Because nobody like Tim is saying, right, he is going to be it. He's got the potential to be it. Of course he has. And a lot of those players on that list, they're only household names now because they have the mentality to go along with their skill. Lots of people have skill. Very few have the mentality to go along with it as well. And the combination of both makes the magic happen. Now, he's at a club that are going to be so anxious to make him go down the right path. They're going to have the right support staff. As Tim mentioned, the right players in the dressing room to guide him. Already, Mikel Arteta's not overplayed him, overused him. He's only a kid, yes, but, that was his first goal. It was only his 3rd appearance or something in the Premier League. Yeah. They're not using and abusing him straight away. They realise he's a very good player. They're mixing him with the first team, but they're not playing him in every single game because they don't need to as well. That's a great position to be in as a football club. Yeah. We don't need to go and blitz him and burn him out and let him play against every other. They can pick, choose. He's going to be the one that's going to be on a leash thinking, I want to play more. But while your team are winning everything, then it's easy to hold them.
But that's a great point. And let's get back to the one you made as well. Mikel Arteta didn't bring him on at 3-0 up with 5 minutes to go to try and give him a goal yesterday. They were at 0-0 and not looking like scoring in a crucial game in the title race. He turned to him.
He brought him on to change the game around, and that's what he did. Not only with the goal what he scores when Pickford comes up the field. Pickford comes flying out to a cross. It was a fantastic cross. It was deep into the penalty area. He's no need to come. There's too much pace on the delivery. So he gets off to a good start anyway. But he's not satisfied with that. He just wants to make himself the superstar. I'm really interested to know, Michael, who was key, who was pivotal to you keeping your feet on the floor at that age? Was it your family or from within the club?
I think your family as you're growing up. Of course, I was very fortunate. My dad was a professional footballer himself. He knew the ropes. So in terms of having that family structure and not getting too big for your boots, I think that was really important. But then you go into a senior team. And again, the traits that you've picked from your family, your friends, carry you through because, you know, I had these big names, the John Barnes, the Robbie Fowlers, the Steve McManamans in the team already and plenty of others. It's impossible. It's impossible with the right dressing room that you can get too big for your boots. I was still as Steve mentioned before, I won the Golden Boot in my first season at 17 and then again at 18. Tim, I was still scared of changing my car and I was a 2-time Golden Boot winner because Robbie Fowler was still in the team.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't, even though I was playing then and Robbie wasn't necessarily as much as me, I wouldn't change my car. I wouldn't walk in with a phone. Mobile phones were out then. Everybody else had one. I'm like, no, they'll all think I'm big-headed. I want to stay, you know, and they probably would have. They probably would have clipped me around the ear. So I do think it's really important that you have not just the right people at home, but the right people in the dressing room as well, just policing the whole situation and letting you get on with the
good news is, to this day, Steve McManaman's still looking after you, so you've still got that.
I need it more now than I did then.
Well, let's not go there. Let's look at the remaining fixtures instead between City and Arsenal. Pep Guardiola famously said before the West Ham game, if we drop points, the title is over. Let me tell you, a 9-point gap at this stage or later has only ever been retrieved to go on and win the title once. That was Manuel Pellegrini's Manchester City. So, obviously they have to play each other. They don't play again because of their other cup commitments in the league for 4 weeks because of the international break as well. So they've got plenty of time to stew on that game, Manchester City. But it's only ever been done once. I mean, glimmer of hope for City fans or virtually done and dusted?
Well, virtually done and dusted. I'm not saying... Let's assume, because it has to happen, that Manchester City beat Arsenal. It has to happen. Now, if they win their game in hand as well, they're only 3 points. Now, can Arsenal drop 3 points out of that fixture list? Yes, they can. They can. So it's not absolutely over. But will Manchester City win every single game from their list? And I think the answer is no. I just don't think they're good enough, really. I don't think they're good enough to win all of those on the spin. They've not done it all season. Why are they going to do it now? And, I mean, the other reason, they do play each other. I can't see Arsenal losing to Manchester City. I think they're a very, very stubborn, strong team. And so there is a chink of light, Steve, but it's not going to happen. It's Arsenal's now.
Tim?
And they're playing the cup final next Sunday, don't they, as well, against each other. So I just think Man City might win that one, the cup final, but I don't see them winning the Premier League. I think that's going to be red and white ribbons on that cup, and very, very soon. I don't think. I honestly believe when they go to the Etihad, I don't think Arsenal will get beat.